What's up, Neil?
Hey Cal, how are you?
I am doing fabulous.
Wonderful.
Here we are, season four, episode one. Do you think we make it this far?
No.
No, I know.
Well, actually, yes, but no.
I know.
Can I say that? Because
Well, yeah. Well, you
we're
figure we're
going
still
on,
having fun with it, but
yeah, we're going on 4 seasons now.
this is our
We've
fourth
we've
season.
completed three. To do four, I think is a
Well, for
a
that,
mild accomplishment.
we're gonna have to have a little cheers to that.
Cheers, brother.
Yep. Little one, all the homies. And also, this one is pretty special because it drops on our third anniversary. 4 seasons, 3 years. We're doing something right. And we actually have a pretty special show today.
Okay.
We have Chris and Benner joining us from Black Fawn Distribution. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey,
Hey
how's it
guys,
going?
What's up, fellas?
thanks
So,
for having us.
Chris,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. So, Chris, we'll start with you real quick.
Yeah,
Me and you ended up following each other on Instagram like months ago.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
you know, uh, kind of parallel industries or whatever you want to say it, but I like to call us media now since we're out there and
yeah,
Uh, we do music, you do kind of movies, and we met up in
yeah,
Hamilton, Ontario, of all
yeah,
places, and
yeah,
talked music for a couple hours and everything else. And here we are, starting off
yeah,
season four with you guys. This is awesome.
yeah. Thanks so much for having us. Yeah, it was a blast. Chatting concerts, and myself and Ben are big music fans. And though we work in film, our secret passion is definitely seeing rock shows. So
Well, if you don't love rock shows, you're doing something wrong in your life, is what I always figure.
absolutely.
So, and then we got Benner with us as well. I'm just meeting
hey
you for
guys.
the first time today. How you doing?
Good, man. Yeah, I heard about you guys from Chris, and he was basically like, "Hey, you want to come on this podcast? It's on Saturday." So
Yeah.
I said, "Sure." I was like, "What's it for?" And he's like, "Oh, it's two dudes talking about music and concerts and rock and roll and stuff." So I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "Absolutely, sign me up." So. Yeah,
Sounds
pleasure to
good.
meet you guys. Looking forward to chatting about a bunch of stuff. I think one of our secret ingredients for our film company is we've always pulled from rock and heavy metal and components from that industry and kind of incorporated them into the film business. So that's sort of one of our secret ingredients, I think, and it just keeps it fun and rocking, you know.
Absolutely.
Love it, Benner.
And that is the one thing, to me, movies, TV, whatever, and music just go hand in hand. And
Mhm.
the right music can really make or break it at times. And
Yeah,
that's the one thing I love about a lot of the shows now is it goes back to like our era, the
yeah,
90s and stuff like that. A lot of those bands are popping up in shows and even some of the more obscure ones,
yeah,
which is always
The
really
yeah.
cool
90s
to
are
see.
back, man. The 90s are back.
I love
They're
it.
here again. It's
I love it.
amazing.
Well, every band's doing their 30th anniversary tour, so it's like catch them
Yeah.
now, and you're seeing them in
No,
smaller
I know.
theaters.
I
And I
just
like
wish
it
they
to,
would call them something else. I wish they would call them just like, some other anniversary tour or like the album anniversary as opposed to just like 30th anniversary because I
I
feel
know.
freaking old sometimes
I
when
know.
It's all
all
right.
these
It's all
records are
right.
like
It's
it's
all
not even
right
the
to be
25th
old.
anniversary, right? It's like the 30th or the 40th anniversary. It's like, oh my God.
It's kind of funny you say that. Like 80s. Now it's the 90s, like it was
Yeah,
the 80s, like a couple of, when everybody was like bands like Toto and freaking Journey,
Squeeze.
yeah.
I think they're in
But
there.
now it's the 90s bands that are coming back.
Shout out Toto.
Fucking Toto rocks, dude.
They just made the
Yeah, man.
playlist, that's for sure.
Yeah, dude. From the soundtrack of MacGruber.
Nice. That's awesome. So yeah, I mean, I love talking to you guys about movies too, because I mean, I'm a huge movie fan. I mean, I got
yeah,
posters everywhere of some of the movies that I'll never forget. Apocalypse Now, Clockwork Orange, some of the classics, right? That people,
hmm
my daughter looked at me, she goes, "You really like Clockwork Orange?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "That's a weird movie, Dad." And she was like
yeah,
20, I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
yeah,
yep." It's different times,
just
different
for
movies.
times.
sure.
Kubrick was in his own little world, right? So, So,
never made the same movie twice, right?
absolutely, and his whole, catalog wasn't really that huge. So yeah, it's really
Mhm.
interesting
Yeah.
fella, that guy. So tell us a little bit about Black Fawn distribution. And you guys are, really Hamilton, Ontario, right? Our brothers to the kind of east north.
Yeah,
East North.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll let Benner give the history of the company, and I think that why
Oh,
it's so
geez,
important.
thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, to talk about, but to kind of uh, set him up there. It's, to what Benner was saying earlier about like pulling from rock music. Like even though, we're a film company, we really approach it as if we're like a rising garage band.
Hmm.
And I think that that's really how the company started. We're boots on the ground, like owners and operators. Like a lot of other distribution companies, have a more corporate approach, and like we're packing up a van with our DVDs and with our stands, and we're driving from Comic Con to Comic Con instead of dive bar to dive bar, and that kind of boots on the ground approach has really been, as Benner said, kind of our shining light of what makes us kind of stand out. We have a lot of we've all either been in bands or traveled with bands or been associated with bands, and that's the approach we feel comfortable with. Fan interaction, you're on stage, the fans are right there, versus this, like, we're going to ship the DVDs out, we're going to put them in Walmart, we're going to hope that they sell. Like we really kind of approached distribution for films so differently, as if we were rock stars
Hmm.
and going to shows and doing those shows, supporting shows, and whether it was music shows or movie shows or comic cons or things like that. And so it's been an interesting journey for us. It's a different texture of a company.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think like
basically, you guys were selling
when we
mixtapes out of your car, except they were DVDs, back in the day when bands were
Yeah,
starting out.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's
well, listen,
awesome. I
I
love
think
that.
it's like uh one of the things is like everyone wants to be a rock star. Everybody, like even movie stars want to be rock stars, right? So so
Kevin
we always
Bacon.
kind of joke around about that, but also just it was just like it was just sort of like putting being having a more personal company and talking to everyone that came up to our table, and like just sometimes it's to sell a movie, sometimes it's just to shoot the shit on movies, right? And entertainment and art and bands and stuff like that. So it's been, we always sort of like one of our mantras is that, if it's not fun, stop doing it. I think that's a big thing. Because even if something starts not to get fun, just stop doing it for a second and make it fun again. And if you can't make it fun again, then stop doing it altogether. And I think we've been very fortunate enough to be, friends and business partners and sharing all sort of, we operate kind of differently, but like we're all on the same page when it comes to the company and what we want to do and to help our filmmakers and get other projects out there. So yeah, it's always been fun for us. And I think a lot of that draws from the fact that concerts, rock and roll, heavy metal, that sort of stuff is super fun, usually all the time, right? So yeah.
That really resonates because we've taken the same approach, like just get out there, be genuine, talk to everyone when we go to shows. I mean, we hit, 4, 6, 8 shows some months. Just depends on schedules. And, went to Lollapalooza and Bourbon and Beyond. And actually, we're going back this year and getting media passes. So, I mean, and like you said, having fun, it just really both got us both back out there. Like we'd been both
Yeah.
kind of stagnant and shit, and getting back out there and doing it's just been really fun. And what we've made sure too, though, is that, you know, Neil actually has helped me step back, take those few months off of recording. Still go to shows and have fun with it, but you need to have the downtime as well. It's tough though, as you're trying to grind it
Yeah.
out, keep moving forward. So,
Sure, Brenner.
An eternal struggle.
mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I think you explained it freaking amazingly. Like get in there, but yeah, you also have to, take a step back and
Yeah.
then know that obviously we fucking love this shit,
Right.
you know?
But we do
And
have
it's
real jobs. I mean, I did
Yeah.
have the benefit of having 7 free months. So I mean, I was hitting it hard. I was all over the place. Actually spent quite a bit of time in Canada because I saw Ben Harper at Massey Hall back in June and spent
Oh,
some
cool.
time there. And it's been kind of my place to go when I'm getting away because, after the divorce and everything. So it's been fun. I actually hit TD Coliseum at the grand opening for Paul McCartney right there in the Hammer.
Oh, amazing.
wow.
I wanted to go to that, but I didn't have the $900 sitting around for those last minute tickets.
Well, it was definitely took a hit.
I know.
Well,
What can you do?
I'm an
It's
open
Paul
guy,
McCartney,
so it
man.
was 1,200 American, but I took my mom, so we went over the border and caught it together. And
Nice.
Paul was always her
Okay,
favorite
that's
Beatle.
that's that's
So yeah, I mean, to me, it's a once in a lifetime experience. It's a vacation, the way I look at it. People play golf,
yeah.
they go
He's
bowling.
also like
I do concerts.
Paul
Yeah,
McCartney's also 180 years old, so I think
Exactly.
this might be his last tour. Who knows, right?
100%. And you know what? That guy, over 3 hours, 36 songs. I mean, the place was amazing. I mean, TD Coliseum, I can't speak highly enough about it with what they did there. And then at the end, everyone's, filing out. We're walking to the hotel, and here's his big tour bus, and he's standing right in the front of it in the window, just waving to everyone. And I mean, people are singing in the street. It was amazing. It was such a cool night. It really was.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, yeah.
And I gotta imagine,
I'm
I mean,
sorry I
that's
missed
just
that.
got to be a nice punch to the economy for the local area as well. I know we got Junos are coming up there
Oh
pretty
yeah,
soon, right?
Hamilton put a lot into the new venue and things like that. It used to be Cops, and then
Yep.
kind of First Ontario Place and stuff like that. And I used to go there as a kid to see like monster truck rallies, like not
Hell
the
yeah.
van monster truck, actual trucks with big wheels.
Yeah.
And then the last show I saw there was Megadeth, and so it's super super awesome for what it's doing for Hamilton already, just with like the A list, like Nine Inch Nails played there like in January. It's huge.
Yeah, and it's like about 12,000 to 14,000, so it's not huge size arena. It still has that intimate feel.
Hmm.
Sound was great. I mean, his voice was,
Hmm.
83 years old, but still, music was
Sure.
amazing, and he's still
Yeah,
singing. So,
yeah, wild.
yeah, it was such a cool night.
Real quick, so you saw Megadeth?
I saw Megadeth at before it was First Ontario Place, before like the Reno. We saw Megadeth there. Yeah, my wife and I.
Okay, big fan.
Yeah, I've seen a few shows there too. It used to be a lot smaller. I think it used to be, I want to say it was about 10,000 people, I
Okay.
think,
Yeah.
before the Reno.
Okay.
Or maybe it was smaller than that. Like we've got a lot of arenas like up here, like in smaller towns for like for the OHL hockey
Hmm.
teams, right? Which are the sort of like the farm system for the NHL.
Right.
For sure.
So a lot of those venues are like they're really cool. They're like small stadiums,
Yeah.
and they're roughly about 5 to 6,000 people. I think Comps was always a bit bigger. I think it was maybe about eight. But I saw back in the day, I saw Pearl Jam there. I also saw System of a Down and Mars Volta there as well, and it's pretty cool because there's not a bad seat in the place. Like no matter where you sit, you're pretty close. But I haven't been there since the Reno, so need to get over there at some point.
Yeah.
I think
We'll have to
of
plan something out for the summer,
I think of
eh?
one of the greatest things that like us as fans can say is there's not a bad seat in the house. Like whatever concert when you go to,
Yeah.
the bad seat in the house. It was fucking awesome.
And the smaller you get, the sound's always better, So
Man.
that
Oh,
is so Pearl Jam, that's an awesome show. What about time frame was that then? Do you remember?
Uh, I'll tell you because I came prepared, guys. This is my newly organized binder of ticket stubs.
No shit.
So
No.
I've got
Oh,
all my ticket stubs in here that I
dude, that's amazing.
I need to do that.
now listen, I'm gonna call out Ticketmaster or um so these are all from back in the day. I mean, so we typically try and get the ticket stubs now. Like I think there's a way to do it.
Mhm.
I think if you
There
go to
are,
will
yeah.
call with your digital ticket, before you go in the venue. I think some venues will actually give you the physical ticket, which I actually didn't find out until
You
recently.
can also
We've been
plead
fortunate to get
old,
enough. The last couple of shows
Benner.
that me and Chris have got to.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but to get a paper ticket,
Oh yeah, and
I've just pled being old and they couldn't figure out what app I use, and then here they just print them out for me.
and
Yeah.
with this gray beard, they're gonna
You're
believe
right.
that
Oh,
no problem. So, but I'll tell you,
yeah.
let me see. Let me see if I have that ticket. I think I do. And I'll tell you the actual date, but I think it was 2006, I
Okay, nice.
think. But here we go. Pearl Jam, Cops Coliseum. Here, you know what? I'll take this out for you guys. September 13th, 2005.
Wow, that's awesome.
So there we
You know what?
go.
I'm gonna look up that play or that set
Take that, Chris. Take that.
Oh my gosh.
This one. Okay, so this set list, I've seen them twice. But that show specifically, I think they were touring their greatest hits record that came out.
Oh, no shit.
But as you know, like Pearl Jam never played the same set twice, and they came out. They came like I know Eddie Vedder has said that he learned that they learned that from Neil Young. Never play the same set twice. Feel out the set list at the start of the before the show because and Vedder's basically said, sometimes we come right out of the gate just ripping. And sometimes we ease into it. Just depends how we feel, depends on the vibe of the show, concert city, all that stuff. But that show specifically in 2005, they opened with Porch, I'm pretty sure. And then at the end of the show, they played everything in between, and they played for like 2.5 hours, but I think just over 2.5 hours. And they closed with Rockin' in the Free World, and they put on all the lights. And so everyone's rocking, and Vedder's rolling around the stage with like a Canadian flag, and he was like, I think he drank 2 bottles of wine during the set, so he's like nicely toasted, and and then at the end, that was they usually close with that, right? And then Mike McCready started kind of just like noodling around on with the opening notes of Yellow Ledbetter at the end, and then they actually played that song to close the show, and that's one of the few shows that I've left that I've been like, ugh, that's it. I didn't actually want anything more than that. Like that was like
Right.
a perfect show, basically. So yeah.
Love that.
So that's funny you should say that because I never really saw Pearl Jam a lot. I always was a big fan, but I sort of saw them Lollapalooza in '92, but I was 17, passed out drunk on the hill at Pine Knob, so kind of heard them a little bit. But the following year, it would have been the spring of '94 at U of M in Ann Arbor at Chrysler Arena. And it was like in support of the Versus album, which to me was always my favorite.
Right.
I always felt that was the best. I thought it was the best drumming. And but they finished with they played Yellow Ledbetter. I don't remember if they finished it, but I think it was only the second time they'd ever played it live. And then we saw them like in 2000-ish. I don't really remember much about that. It was at Pine Knob. But then I just saw them in Indianapolis a couple summers ago. And it was kind of underwhelming, I'll say, just because it was only one song from Versus. It was Daughter. Very good, but the venue was like a 25,000 like outdoor pavilion. So whatever. But they played Yellow Ledbetter again. So out of like the 4 times or whatever
Yeah.
I've sort of seen them, they played it twice, which is just truly amazing. It made the worth the 8 hours drive there and back the same day and everything. And but they are
So
something
Cal, I'll
special
tell
to
you
see
something.
live.
I just saw like a couple years ago. Um, my girlfriend had never seen Pearl Jam. A big fan, but just again, just kind of like what you said, like was just like huge fan, but just like never got to those shows because they don't really come to they come to Toronto and Canada like every once in a while, but just
Sure.
not it's not like every other year or every album cycle sometimes. So, but we were looking at the schedule and they were playing Wrigley Field. Like we were just talking kind of
Oh,
about Chicago before we got on the air here, but and I was like, if we go, like we should go to Wrigley. Like we should go and see him at Wrigley. And obviously that's where Eddie Vedder grew up. He grew up in Chicago, right? So he's a huge
mhm.
Cubs fan. And
Right.
it is a pretty awesome show. Like it was a great. I could fill up a whole podcast just with that road trip. But I remember we were going across the border. We were going across the border, and the border guy was like, goes to us like, because they're always asking you questions, right? And he said to us, he said, where are you? What are you doing? Like, where are you going? Like, and we're like, we're going to Chicago. What are you doing down there? We're like, oh, we're seeing a show. And like, who are you seeing? We're like, Pearl Jam. And he goes, they're not playing around here. That's what he said to us. And I said, we said, he's like, well, Wrigley's not around here. So it's like, I don't know what you want. Right. But like, yeah, it was like, it was pretty, it was a pretty awesome, it was a pretty awesome show. And I love old ballparks. I'm a huge ball fan, as so is Chris. So it was pretty special to go see a band like that in a venue like that. But
Love it.
yeah, it
And
was
was
it,
it
it was
worth
cool.
being on the no-fly list now at the
Yeah. It's like you talk to Eddie, man. But I will say they played the cool thing was, like, I think Eddie Vedder, like he forgot some of the lyrics on the second song, and he said they hadn't played there in like 6 years, and he said he's like, sorry for the mix up on the lyrics. He's like, some of us are having a spiritual experience up here. And then later on in the set, they closed their first set with like all these awesome songs. Like it was such an awesome ending to the before the encore. And they played Black, obviously. And Mike McCready played one of the greatest solos I've ever heard in my life, live. And at the end, he just took off his guitar and he threw it and he just walked off the stage. And it was something really, really special. And they do those bootleg downloads, so I immediately bought that concert. And yeah, if I have a chance, I'll drop you the file of that one song, because it's
Absolutely.
something special for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I loved how they did that. They'd release the bootleg CD or whatever shortly after the show. It was almost like immediately. You can actually go and just get the CD from the
Mhm.
show you
Yeah,
were at
it's like
and
a
just
few
kind of
days later.
relive it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
what that Cal.
So you mentioned
which
the
I
wine
did.
a couple of times. So that's going to lead us right into we found out we have a mutual liking of Porno for Pyros. So speaking of wine and Perry Farrell getting wasted all the time singing. So me and Neil saw Porno for Pyros do their farewell tour in 24, I think it was, in at the Fillmore Detroit, and it was so amazing. It was, Perry Farrell, you had DeStefano, Perkins on drums, and then Mike Watt was playing bass with them. And I had never seen Porno for
Oh,
Pyros.
cool.
Always listened to him, always loved him, seen Jane's Addiction. So it was a really cool show. And you guys went, I believe, and saw them together at some point, didn't you?
Yeah, I've seen them twice now because I saw their farewell tour in Toronto as well. But the first time we saw them, Benner and I saw them at our friend's bachelor party in Chicago at the Metro.
Chicago, nice.
Nice. Chicago's the best. They have like
A
some
lot
of
of
the best
Chicago on this
venues,
episode.
so many cool
Yeah.
bands
You know
out
what? It's
there.
funny. It's like Chicago's got a lot. Like it's very similar to Toronto, as far as like the cities, like the structure of the cities and stuff. Like they're kind of they're on the water, same sort of temperature. Like I think it's got a lot of similarities. I mean, Chicago's just like, I mean, no offense to Toronto, but Chicago's just got that history and that kind of like epic sort of like vibe to it. But
Little
maybe that's
panache.
because we're not there every weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, that show was awesome. I saw Jane's Addiction like way back when, like I think in 2001 on the Kettle Whistle tour, I think, and they were rad. But like I always loved Porno for Pyros. Like I thought, I mean, the first record so good. When we
Yeah,
saw
it's
them,
very
Chris,
good.
I think they played the first 5 songs off the first record. And I was like,
Yeah.
and it was a bachelor party. So like I was joking for we guys, like we may or may not have had 2 or 3 beers that day, but I was
Like
like,
you did it
after the
right, you
fourth
did.
song, they started playing. So they played, I think the fourth song that, yeah, yeah. I think, I remember that day starting off with like, we went to like a pub. Or no, it was a
It was like
brewery.
a fancy restaurant, and in
You
Chicago,
guys
where
get
it's like this
brunch?
like traditional brunch place. The waiters are in like so The waiters are in like tuxedos, and we're like ordering like 4 beers at a time.
I think we went there. Yeah, we went there because we just wanted breakfast. Like we just needed like you just need a base, right? Like I need toast, I need bacon, I need home fries, I need a base for the day. And then we got out of there. Chris goes, "Yeah, there's a brewery like just down the street," and like so we went there to start. And this is like a 11 a.m. And they were playing they're playing White Zombie in there. They played Kitty in there. So it's like we're friends of Morgan from Kitty. So we actually Zoom we actually FaceTimed her when they were playing Brackish in the venue, and I was like, this is awesome. So the sun's out, we're on this patio, there's like all this rock and roll playing on this, and it's like we're just ready to seize the day. And then we get out of there. One guy that came with us is a good buddy of mine, isn't like a huge drinker. He doesn't and he looks at me, we get out of the first place, and he looks at me and he's like I was like, what's wrong? And he's like, so Benner, like, is this this is gonna be all day? And I was like, all day, buddy. And he just looks at me and he goes, Jesus Christ.
It's like brunch.
Because we already had tickets for the show. So the groom had no idea. Who's a really, really great friend of ours. And like he had no idea we were going to the show. We had all this other shit planned out that he knew that we were doing, but he had no idea. He had said specifically, hey, it'd be great if we went to like a rock show, like just to cap off the night. And we hadn't told him that we had tickets, and we got the tickets like on the way down, I think, like the day before. And so it was a big surprise. Like we ended up we had to figure out how to get up near the metro, like how do we go to this dive bar, we go to this bar here, and then like we'll be kind of next door and stuff. And then we just kind of walked into the venue, and he was like, you can't even walk in there. And I was like, yeah, we can, we do whatever we want, man, we're in Chicago. And he's like, you don't even have tickets. And I was like, I remember looking back and just being like, yeah, we don't have tickets to the Porno for Pyros at the Metro. Like, of course we already did. And it was great. It's a great show. Like we were like, it's one of those shows that's like, I think the Metro's 1,000 people, I think. And we were probably like, I don't know, like 30 feet from the stage. Like it was really something special. And sorry, who's the guitarist's name again?
Peter DiStefano.
Peter
DiStefano.
Peter DiStefano is one of the he's the guy. We posted some stuff on like we were just posting stuff. He's one of the guys that actually he likes all our shit on Instagram. So like whenever we post about the band, he's always like liking stuff. So we're like, life complete, like what else?
I gotta jump in there. So Chris, that just jogged my memory. That's how me and you connected on Instagram. Was because Peter DiStefano was liking our shit and he's liking your shit. And I'm like, all right, who's these guys and how is everyone connected? Because like early on, like, I mean, we have no followers. So I'm like, anyone that's following him, I'm like deep dive and doing like, cyber stalking almost. And I'm like, then I looked into you, I'm like, oh shit, and I'm like, all right, well, follow, of course. And that's how it all started. And it was Peter DiStefano. And he actually was on our show
because of Peter. It's so
Peter DiStefano.
I can't wait. I'm gonna dude. And if you I mean, whatever. But I'll message him, and he'll message me back. It's like we've been doing it for like a year and a half, 2 years now. And but because he started this band called Chevron Buffet, okay, and I noticed that they again were liking our videos and posts and shit on Instagram. So I'm like, who in the hell are these people? And I see it's a band, and then I look and I'm like, holy shit, Peter DiStefano's in it. At this point they had like 30 followers. So I just start DMing people. That's kind of like you said, we're just get out there, we try to talk to anyone. Next thing I know, I'm going back and forth with him. I was like, hey, would you want to be on our show? And he's like, absolutely. So we had their band on our show. It was him, Ray Mazza was on drums, and Volpe was on bass, and Wendy Burke was like a singer. So we're talking to him, and nicest guy ever. So we're promoting it as, hey, Peter DiStefano's new band, blah, blah, blah. By the time we drop it, the band broke up. So we announced their big grand founding, and then the also demise within like a month. But now he plays with Psychedelic Furs. And I saw them just in Detroit in October, the Furs, and oh my God, those guys still sound amazing. And I've
Yeah,
actually,
yeah,
they collaborate on some of our posts and stuff, which has been really cool. But it's amazing how great,
yeah.
God, now of course his name's but the lead singer, how great his voice still is to this
Oh
day.
shit, what is the name?
It's good. Of course, I don't remember it, but
Yeah,
yeah,
one of the things that I think made that show so special, the show at the Metro when we saw them, is like they hadn't played in such a long time,
right.
so it really felt like this was their like pre-warm show before Lollapalooza, right? It was a band. Benner and I were texting, like we're big, 90s alt rock fans and grunge fans and stuff like that. And when we got the opportunity to we're in Chicago already, and it all really came together so organically. But I also think like just what was going on in the world, like we were just coming out of like the COVID restrictions. We hadn't been at a concert in well over a year, together and things like that. It was an outing where we left the country for the first time in over a year and things like that. Restrictions were kind of being lifted, and we live in Canada and you guys are in the States. There's some different rules, and the provinces and states had different rules and stuff
Sure.
like that, at the time. But it was like it was like August. It was hot in Chicago. We were on boat tours. And then to kind of like cap it off with seeing like a band that like for the longest period of time, we were like, will this band ever play again? Is this just a pocket of time that, we can just enjoy? And when we went, it was just like surreal because it was like our return to concerts, our return to being in a room with like 1,000 people all there, just like knowing the words. And every time, as Benner was saying, like they played like the first 5 tracks, and it was like every time it was like the third track. Benner and I would look at each other and just like scream, and I'd be like, I can't believe it, they're doing this one, like it was just
It
it
felt,
was
yeah, it
such
felt
like
like
an incredible moment.
it felt like they were going to play the first record front to back out of the gate, which I thought was like they didn't. They played the first 5 songs, but still it was awesome because they're playing like it's what's the first I mean, because I know it's Cursed Female, Cursed Male is song 4 and 5, but it's like it's such a ripping album. And the thing is like no opener. It was
Right.
just like Porno for Pyros at the Metro. So like show up, that's the only band. It took a while to get on stage, and then they did, and they just ripped, and it was
Dang.
awesome. Like they and then also I will say this, roping Peter DiStefano back into this conversation, going back to what we were saying earlier, it seemed like those guys on stage, even Perry, it looked like they hadn't done it in a while, like Chris was saying, and it looked like they were having a blast. Like it looked like they were having a
Yeah,
lot of
Love it.
fun playing all these tunes
Love it.
that are not Jane's Addiction, that are not like maybe, they're not on the top of everyone's list, but that band is still really
yeah.
awesome. And they've got a lot of great, great, great tunes.
And it felt really like if you know, like that's it. It wasn't like the number one hits.
Big.
It wasn't Jane's Addiction tracks. It was like
Mhm.
if you're like a true believer in the band, this concert is
Totally.
specifically for you. And it was our buddy's bachelor party, and we were able to get him the drumstick.
No
And
shit. That's
so
awesome.
it was
And
it
this,
was
and I have the set list somewhere. Yeah,
yeah,
I
and
got the
Benner
set
got
list
the set
somewhere.
list, and we got the drumstick for the groom to be there. So it was just like one of those nights that it just like clicks, you
Right.
know.
And
Everything
listen, let me tell
aligned
you something. Like
perfectly.
to get a set list and a drum to get a drumstick and a set list with a bunch of like scruffy, like slightly overweight dudes,
Mhm.
that's like impossible. Like that doesn't happen on a
Right.
regular basis, right?
You
Like,
know
and
what,
I've been in
Benner?
situations where I've been like, it's true. It's just how it is.
I agree.
No,
Roadie's
Benner, you're
gonna road,
totally right. And you know how I know this? Because I was never, trying to get a set list or anything. I just go to a show, take off, had a great night, whatever.
Take off.
But I followed Ben Harper for 3 shows in 4 days. I saw him in Toronto on June 4th, Detroit June 6th, then flew to Chicago, saw him June 7th. Well, at the Chicago shows at the Auditorium Theater, which I wasn't familiar with at all. But by the end, I mean, everyone's up front, whatever. He's singing like Amen, oh man, just best ending ever. Well, at the end, everyone's pushing the front, and there's like, 4 or 5 set lists because everyone's kind of got their own. And I'm just standing there and I'm hoping, I'm not going to bag or anything. And this lady's next to me, and all I kept hearing was, "My daughter's name's Harper. My daughter's name's Harper." And I wanted to look at her and go, "Bitch, I've seen him 3 times in 4 days in 2 fucking countries." Mind you, the first time I saw him was in like 95.
Yeah.
How about throw me the fucking bone for once? But like you said, better, I look like me, and she's all like, fuck you. And fuck your daughter, Harper. I'm sorry. I'm
I went to a
going there.
show. I went
Fuck her.
I went to a show with our friend Kels, who like is helps us out with all the press stuff, and she's a great friend. And we went to what did we go to? Death from Above. And I went over at the end and I was like, "Hey, can I get that set list? Can I get a drumstick or something?" And like the guy was like, "Dude," he's like, "We don't have any." And I'm like, "Yeah, you do. Yeah, I know I know you got them back there." And he's just like, "Dude, we don't have any." I was like,
Yeah, you do.
Okay, fine, whatever." And I walk away. And Kels walked over and she came back with a pair of drumsticks. And I was like, "What the hell?" And she's like, "I just asked nicely." And I was like, "Oh my God." But I get it. I get it.
Back, she's in the
Like, you
band
know what?
now.
The last thing you're working. I totally understand. The last thing you want to do, like, you're working all day. You're roadieing for a show. You've lugged in all the gear. Now you got to tear it all down, get it the hell out of there, and like you got a bunch of like dudes with like a 6-pack in them, being like, "Yeah, any drumsticks back there?" Like, yeah, sorry, dude, we're all out too, man. We're all out. Get out of here. So
That's fucking too funny.
Yeah. First world problems there. Not a soul.
I know. I know. I didn't get the drumstick.
I've never gotten shit from a concert ever. Like, it's hundreds of shows I've been to. The closest I was Nine Inch Nails, New Year's Eve at the Palace of Auburn Hills, '94. Amazing show. Jim Rose Circus actually opened up for them, but they were crazy.
Oh, it's that tour.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we were
that's
so
a great.
it was
That's
so
like
funny.
those are the shows that are. So you've got some big ones. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was so funny because like a bunch of us were going for New Year's Eve, and a buddy of ours was on a first date, and he's like, "Yeah, we got floor tickets." And we're like, "Well, it's a Nine Inch Nails show. I mean, it's '94. I mean, the pit's going to be insane." And like she's in this dress and stuff, and we're like, "Are you sure you want to be on the floor?" He's like, "Well, no." And we're like in the fucking way in the back, second level ever, whatever. We swap. Well, we get down there, we're literally the first row behind like this wall, and then the pit. So we were like so close. Best show ever. Trent Reznor throws his water bottle to the crowd, and our buddy right next to me catches it, takes a drink out of it, handed it to some girl, and then like she was like, "Oh my God, best thing ever." So, but that was the closest I came, except for Ben Harper, threw a guitar pick coming right for me, and this kid that must have been maybe 12 was next to me, so he got it.
Two catching something. Yeah.
Yeah, but you mentioned that Jane's Addiction, like 2001-ish. Now, what I remember is me and Neil saw them at
Yeah.
the Palace. We were main floor,
Yeah.
and then they had that little mini stage right in the middle of like basically center ice.
Yeah. Same thing. Same tour.
Same thing. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And oh my God. So, I mean, 2001-ish, I was about 26. So I'm more in the back. I'm not in the pit or whatever. And once they hit that little stage, though, I remember Perry being like super close walking. And then we were like front and center. Jane's Addiction, and Perkins was on the kettle drums
Yeah.
for that one. Because every other time I've seen, he's just playing normal drums. And that was one of the most amazing, for me, we always talk killer tunes, right? That night, that moment, that song, and that solidified it is one of my favorite live moments ever. And I'll say my daughter Kennedy, who's my firstborn, the only, and my 2 kids, the only naming responsibility I had was her middle name, and it's Jane, because that song and Sweet Jane by Lou Reed, who Lou Reed is firmly in my Forever Five that we'll talk about here in a little bit. And he won't ever leave because that man's amazing. And, and 2 dudes, we have a loophole where since it's like Spotify, whatever, you put in the name and whatever songs pop up, you'd be able to listen to. You put in Lou Reed, you get every Underground song knowing the man too. So it's kind of like it's a twofer, right, Neil? You get two for one.
Yeah, it's
Neil twofer.
Neil Young, Chrysler's National Young.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yep. So I don't. Yeah, you didn't know the loopholes before we were talking today. So we'll see how this all goes. So what do you guys remember? What your actual like first concert ever was?
I do.
Very
Yeah.
first
Yeah,
concert.
It's
I'm sure Benner has
you
the
go
ticket.
ahead, Benner.
Funny you should
Go on,
mention
Benner.
that, guys. I
It's
do have
funny
the
you
ticket.
mention
And
it.
this- okay.
That's in this
You do-
other book.
Chris, you wanna go
Like
first?
this,
'Cause-
like-
Okay, so
Look.
listen, when I was a kid, my parents were like somewhat strict. It just, I grew up in the country and stuff, and they were just like, I was at the point where it's like, I just want to go to these shows, and my buddies were going. And I was probably about like maybe 13, 14, and my parents were like, we don't want you going to those shows. And these festivals, like mostly like started as festivals, and because there's too many drugs and there's too much booze, and I was like, no, there's not. There's like none of that there, and of course, like
It's all different now,
they were
Mom.
right. I was probably wrong, but
Nothing
so
like
when
that.
I was 15, there was a radio show on a local rock show called The Alternate Route. So I got to shout out the Wolf 101.5 FM at in Peterborough. It's what I grew up listening to. And they had this show called The Alternate Route, which played between like I think it was like 10 and midnight or 11 and midnight or something. And they just played like grunge and like
Love
bands like
those
Tool, Nine
little
Inch Nails, stuff like that.
radio stations that do
Yeah,
that. Go ahead.
and it was one of the DJs there that just like kind of did that. Anyway, so they had this they did do ticket giveaways every now and again, and I would try and call in, and you never win, right? You never win. And they did a ticket giveaway, and it was for Silverchair tickets. In and I can tell you that yeah, so in 97, so I don't want to date myself here, but so and I remember and I called in and I won the tickets. And my buddy, a buddy of mine was like a few years older, so he had a car and like and could drive and stuff. So I called him. I go, I just won these tickets online, and he goes, cool. He's like, I was like, but I don't know how to get there. And he's like, dude, he's like, give me one of the tickets and I'll drive. And I was like, okay, perfect. And then I set that up, and then I had to tell my parents, and I said, listen, I gotta go, and they let me go because I was like, but I won the tickets, like I won them on the radio, like that never happens, and like so they relented. And because my buddy was a bit older, they were like, yeah, you know what?
Sure.
Oh, he's the
like, I could go.
responsible one.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, go on.
And it was
go
like,
on.
so here's the ticket right here. Arrow Hall. I always kept, this is why I started collecting these. So uh Local H opened this show, and
Holy
they were
shit. They're
amazing.
touring right now,
I've been a
locally.
fan for like so Local H came out, they opened with Fritz's Corner, and it was like, which is like maybe their best track or one of their best songs, and it's just a ripping track, and like so the whole placement, and it was like kind of looking in it's in this place called Arrow Hall. Chris, I don't know if you've ever been there, but like it's not around anymore, but it's basically like a big airplane hangar.
Where
And they
where
stick,
is
like,
it though?
8,000
What
people.
part of Canada is that?
So Mississauga, it's about
Okay.
it's just outside Toronto.
Yeah. I've
But it's
been to
basically a big-
Mississauga for work numerous times.
Okay, yeah. So it's like kind of like a giant strip mall, but like
Yep.
it's like like the venue is basically just like it's kind of like an airplane hangar, and like they just stick like 8,000 people in there, and it's
Oh, yeah.
general admission. It's just
Awesome.
it's just a room basically.
Yeah.
And so we got super close,
Oh,
and I almost got
my God.
crushed. I remember I got crushed in the pit almost during, I think Silverchair came out and they opened with Slave. I think they opened with Slave, and then they played. I can't remember. I have the set list somewhere. Like that, like just the like the what they played that
Well,
night.
and plus
But,
you could have been
it
like,
was
hey, mom
crazy.
and dad, these guys are my age. They're only like 16. Like, how bad can it be?
Yeah.
You know
Guys
what?
are
I
just up
probably
there
said that,
ripping
Cal.
it.
I probably said that. And so, and
That's
then I was,
awesome.
and then I was addicted. Like I was
Oh.
addicted, and then, my buddy was like, we were so close. He was like, man, and his thing was like, so he's probably about your age, Cal, and he
Okay.
said to me like his favorite band was Nirvana because Nirvana broke when he was in university and college,
Okay.
and he
I
said to
graduated in
me, he said
93.
he had two. Okay, so he told me, he said
High school.
his biggest regret was that he had two chances to see Nirvana and he didn't see them. And he said it's the biggest regret of his life. So when we went to Silverchair, he was like, "Holy shit, man!" He's like, "We were so close. Like that was amazing. Like it was just what a rush." And he was like grabbing, like he's a bit taller than me, so he was like grabbing me as a kid to make sure I didn't get like lost in the sea of humanity. And like, and then after that, he was just like, dude, he's like, we got to go to like every show like that's like coming through. So we went to see like a whole bunch of shows that summer, like Foo Fighters and Radiohead, and like, and he was just like, we got to go to every show. That was just an amazing experience, and that's what got me even more into it. And I've been going to concerts ever since.
Absolutely. So one, it's funny because I was 15 and, again, my parents, and I played soccer, I'm on a track. I mean, I was really fucking good, right? Whatever. And, I never strayed too far. And of course, who wants their 15-year-old to go to Detroit, right? So very first show, I'm 15, it's 1990. And me and my two buddies, I'll say Hebert and another guy, Hebert's mom drove us to the Palace of Auburn Hills to see Aerosmith with Joan Jett opening up. So it was like the Pump Tour. And people still don't believe me on this, but like your parents could drive you there. The three of us went, had amazing seats, super close. But the parent would go into the quiet room. And all the parents would just go sit in this room and sit there, and you wouldn't hear shit. And then when the show is over, you'd go meet them outside and they drive you home.
Yeah, in that quiet room, they might have a couple.
That's amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sure like they had their own little gig going on, but yeah, they would just go and do that. And like you said, it was like this fire was lit, right? And then second show was actually my 16th birthday. It was ZZ Top with Black Crowes opening up. And
Oh.
I actually went with an old buddy of ours, a soccer player that was on our show 30 years later. We'd never talked to him in 30 years, and all of a sudden he was on our show. So
Yeah.
we talked about
Wow.
that. And then my third show ever was Lou Reed. And I was like 17.
Wow.
And like just like and then you start going to more and more, and it's just like you said, Benny, you just want to just keep fucking going. It's the best thing ever. And
It's such a high. It's
It
like
is.
it's
It
such a
is.
it's something it's
For-
something like I fell in love with it like after again I fell in love with it again like after the pandemic where a bit I mean I was fine with like just I was working kind of from home anyway, so I was
Mhm.
like, it was just like, hey, I can go to the grocery store and there's only three people in it. Amazing.
I
And like
agree.
and then I didn't really
Amazing.
but I missed live sports and I missed live concerts. And I
Right.
think when I got
Yeah.
back into it after
Yeah, the
like
live sports was
2021,
bad too.
2022, it was like it was really fulfilling. Like it was really like it just reminded me, even from a nostalgia point of view, on just a feeling point of view, like when the lights go out and that band that takes the stage or the curtain drops or whatever, there's something special about everyone being in a room and sharing that experience together. I think it like movies, we were talking about similarities between movies and music, like same thing. Like I know you go to the theater sometimes and there's like four people in it, right? But if you go on like opening night to something big, like even if it's like, Avengers or like I remember going to see Dark Knight and it was like the lineup to get in was around the corners, no safe seats. There was just like first come, first serve. If you're in line first, you get to pick
Sure.
first, right? Like, and it's like you sit in a theater in a dark room with a bunch of people and you're sharing that experience. It's really something special. And I think it's like I recommend it to anybody.
It's the
And
only
go and
thing
see
that
the
brings
shows.
everyone
Like
together.
go and see the shows.
Right. Music
Yeah,
is the only
exactly.
thing that
And like
brings everyone together. And then once you go to it live, like you're literally experiencing it with all those people, the same thing, the same time. And we always talk about like our killer tunes and like 2,000 people are in there. Every person could have a different one or for a different reason, whatever. But no matter what, you're all experiencing it together. And that's the
yeah.
best part about it. That's what keeps me going. I mean, there was a
Absolutely.
long time where I didn't go to any shows at all. So that was a big part of me that was missing. And I
Mhm.
always say, T Dude saved me, man. Back seeing shows, everything else. And it's really been an awesome fucking time. And Chris, I want to know what was your first show?
Yeah, I have. It's kind of like a two-parter for me because when I was a kid, I was a beaver, which is like Canadian Boy Scouts of America. And so my dad surprised me. This was a very Canadiana kind of cultured singer, was Fred Penner, and kids kid singer in Canada. And
Fred.
the cool thing about the Fred Penner show, I wasn't like, I was old enough to remember the show. What was cool was he was playing at the Sky Dome, which a huge baseball fan. But the difference about the
Go
show
Jays!
was it was a slumber party. So you got to sleep on the field with your sleeping bag and your dad and see Fred Penner. So you got to sleep over at the show. And though I don't have the concert ticket, you do get a patch. And I still have the patch to say you slept on the field. And they don't do that anymore. So that was like my first like concert.
So wait, that was where the
I
Jays
didn't
played,
see
right?
That's where the Jays play. They still play. It's called
Still play there.
different things.
Okay, it's still the same place. All right,
But it's
awesome.
What is it called now then?
Yeah,
But they
yeah, like
still
it's called the Sky Dome. It's called Rogers Center right now.
Rogers
But
Center, that's right.
if you're from around the area, it's always the Sky
It's
Dome.
always the
Yeah,
Sky
it's
Dome.
always-
Sky Dome. So that was really my first one, and it was like a mixture of like a live show and this like baseball experience. Like, not that we saw a game, but I got to like, have my pillow and sleeping bag, and my buddy Ryan Robinson was there, and my dad was there, and his dad was there, and we're like sleeping on the field, slept over, and then you leave in the morning kind of thing. So it was such like a cool shared experience, you know what I mean? And oddly enough, there was all the different like, beavers from all different areas in Ontario. And so all these different schools, and my buddy Ryan and I went to one school, and it's crazy. We have this photo of us, and, we're like in grade 4 and whatever, we have our arms around each other. And in the background, you can see another kid. We would become friends with that kid 6 years later when our schools merged. But we didn't know him for years, and so it was really cool like experience, and so that was like technically my first, but like my first like ticketed show where like I had to beg my mom to go. It was Edge Fest where Blink-182 headlined, and Sum 41, Jimmy World.
Love that.
The Salads were like playing in the parking lot. I remember watching Get Loose, because the Salads were playing in the parking lot. They weren't like a big enough band yet, and they were like giving us stickers and stuff like that. And but yeah, the GO train line. We grew up in Burlington. You could get off at this place called Exhibition, where there's like a lot of music venues, and the X, which is like a kind of like a big fair in the summer. So my parents and I and we had this big agreement that I had to like go. This was before like cell phone stuff. We had to go to the show. There was a payphone at the show. We had to use the payphone to say like virtually collect call, like "Mom, I made it, bye," and then she wouldn't have to accept the call. And then we had to do the same thing on the way home. On the way home, it was like, "Hi, it's Chris, and we're leaving the venue." and so that was a way of hey, check in, but like we weren't like using like the payphone and stuff.
Right.
So I remember doing. On the way there, we got to the show, and then like on the way back,
wasn't that the best?
Wasn't
that the best when you just kind of did
awesome.
that? I mean, we talked about it on our show before. Like we would show up at Pine Knob, which is like the 15,000 or so amphitheater, and like you're meeting friends there, and you just talk to them on the phone at some point before you leave. And like, all right, we're leaving at this time. You're either going to find each other in the parking lot, and if not, we would always meet on the left rail.
Which is perfect.
Right, it was great.
Yeah.
You'd just all meet up there, and then you'd hang out there, and everyone would be walking by.
Everybody knew.
Oh, it was so amazing.
Meet there.
Dude, I love hearing that.
It was cool.
182, that's a great first show, man.
Yeah, it was so much fun, and like Sum 41 it's like so Canadian and like so loud at the time, and so it was cool to see. Newfound Glory was on that show, and Jimmy Eat World was playing Bleed American, and like it was a fantastic like show project wise, which never really like hit as much, but deep cut. But yeah, like it was a phenomenal show, and it was last summer. I saw The Offspring and Jimmy Eat World and Newfound Glory, and it was crazy because Jimmy Eat World and Newfound Glory played the opener of that first show, and so I got to take my wife to see those bands.
Did you?
That was at TD Coliseum, right?
I saw them at the Budweiser stage in Toronto, which is even that's something else now. But Benner just saw Offspring and what was it? Bad Religion.
Okay, yep. I think
Yeah, yeah. So I just saw them. They played like one of those smaller like hockey stadiums, right? So I think it was like 4,200 people.
What band?
And the Scent, Offspring and Bad Religion.
Okay, go ahead.
And it was a super fun show, but it was like we were on the floors, we were close, and the sound sounds awesome in those smaller venues because they're just big enough where like that rig that they're bringing in is designed for it, but
Mhm.
it just sounds like the sound sounds hotter, and
Right.
it just sounds really put together. So yeah, yeah, they're cool too.
There's something
And though
about
I don't have the Fred Penner ticket, I do have the Edgefest ticket downstairs. I don't have it in a baseball colored binder like Benner, but I do
so
have my first one.
I just got this. I got this like last week too. So I was like,
Yeah,
we're
right.
gonna put this shit
You've
down
got
there.
here's the show. You're gonna have to do
So I
some
got all my
homework.
and
Where we
I
did
can't, I
ours
can't
like
lose
last
them
night.
because
Yeah.
like I talked to my buddy. Uh we went to see Corn. I think it was Corn and Gojira last summer.
Oh no
And I was
shit.
talking to a buddy of mine, and I was like, you should come to the show. And he's like, because we had seen them back in '98 or something like that on the Follow the Leader tour, and he's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't need to see Corn, man. And I was just like, and then I sent him a photo. I pulled my ticket out and I sent him a photo of the ticket, and I was like, we were there together, but it was like we were there at that show before we knew each other, and I was like, we were there together, brother,
Yeah,
and we gotta
I
go,
love
we
it.
gotta go together this
That's
time.
fucking
And so he
awesome.
ended up
That
going.
is
So,
crazy.
but
I
yeah, yeah.
love
So
that
I don't know, I love that
you
stuff.
guys have kept that stuff, the nostalgia of it, because I threw all that shit away. And even I used to keep track
Yeah.
of every concert I went to right from day one. And when I was 15, who it was, where it was, who I was with, funny shit or whatever that happened. And I was going to write a book, my Jack Kerouac stage when I was in the 90s, right? And of course, got married, threw all that shit away, never went to shows, got depressed, got divorced. And I'm like, you know what? I miss doing that shit. And that I was
Yeah.
still married when I
Yeah.
started Two Dudes, but like that was when the shell kind of like started cracking, that fire reignited. Like it was gone for so long.
And we go ahead.
No, and I was just gonna say, like, I tell everyone our origin story is I was sitting at home and not gonna lie, like depressed, ex would go to bed. I'm just sitting there doing nothing, and I'm like, you know what? I miss going to shows. And me, Neil, and my brother went to see Smashing Pumpkins in Columbus. It was like May 28th of 22. So Pumpkins were just kind of like starting out to go on tour again. And that was one of their very first shows. We went to that. It was at Kemba Live in Columbus, right
Great show, by
downtown.
the way.
We walked to Boston's Pizza, which is like, it's a chain over here, but it's pretty goddamn good.
Yeah,
And we
we've got it
watched,
too.
what's
Yeah,
that?
we've got them here in Canada, surprisingly,
Oh
for
yeah,
some
Oh, do you
reason.
all
really?
right.
We've
Okay.
got Boston pizzas here.
They're good, good beer. And we watched what
Way to go,
Champions League final.
Yeah.
Got all lubed up, like you said, maybe had a beer or two, and walked over the venue, and it's like 5,000 people, all general admission, outdoor venue. Smashing Pumpkins, like my favorite band ever, my number one forever five. They'll never be gone. I go see them whenever I can. I actually saw them at Aragon Ballroom in Chicago in December of 24. Amazing. First time seeing Mayonnaise since the early 90s.
That show was great though, but the Kemba Live show.
Oh my God. So me, Neil, my brother, that was like the first time going to a show where I really felt alive again. My daughter Kennedy, whose middle name I told you earlier, was really upset because I didn't invite her to go. I'm like, come on, it's me, Neil, and my brother. You don't fit into this crowd right now. So amazing show. Well, 6 months later, they're playing Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, and Jane's Addiction's opening up for them. And like that's my dream lineup, right? Back from
Right.
the 90s. And it was Perry, Perkins, and Eric Avery on bass. And they didn't have Navarro, but whatever. And then the Pumpkins, so just me and her being there. All of a sudden, that was when it really lit. And next thing you know, I'm sitting at home my daughter Kennedy comes home from work. It's like 9 at night. I'm like, hey, I'm going to start a podcast. She kind of chuckles. She's like, what's it going to be? I'm like, well, it's going to be called Two Dudes and Killer Tunes. Neil's going to be my co-host, and we're going to talk about live music. Neil had no idea about any of this because I literally thought of it 2 hours earlier. And she's like, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, totally.
And
Hey,
my
we're doing a
son Avery
podcast now,
comes
bud.
home about an hour later, and I pitch it to him. And he's like, that's a really good idea, Dad. And then in the morning, I was having coffee with the ex, and I told her about it. She's like, yeah, I already heard Kennedy told me. I'm like, well, how the hell did that happen? Kennedy texted her while she was sleeping and said, oh my God, Dad's going to start a podcast. I'm like, all right, now I know I'm on to something. And from that day forward, shows all the time, hanging out with Neil, best thing I've ever done in my life. It's awesome. And that's what live music is. It just brings everyone together.
Cheers to
It
that,
gets you
man.
out of
Cheers to
that
that.
funk and just, takes you to that where you want to go.
We've said it on Two Dudes and Cooler Tunes here, but is there not a better thing to go to a live show? Whether you love the band, hate the
it's the
band,
best.
whatever. I mean, there's something just about it. We all know.
Right. Right.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's dig into this Forever Five with you guys. Obviously, we talk about it. It's you're on the
Okay.
desert island. You have the digital, Spotify, Apple, all of it. You have the whole catalog. What do you guys got?
Wild. Ben and I are going to go 1 for 1. And it's funny when you say Spotify, though. I think I have Apple Music. I think Benner has Spotify. I'm not sure.
Okay.
No. Apple Music.
Tell you what, you
Apple
can use
Music.
them all.
We both
Amazon,
have Apple
whatever. You have a phone that you have only music apps. You can punch in the name on all of them, and whatever
It's
pops
it's
up, you
funny
can listen
though.
to.
We are both hardcore physical media fans, and so
Okay.
if we
Yeah,
were
what
on
do
a
you got
desert
back there,
island,
Chris? What's behind you?
These are DVDs and Blu-rays, and then on
Okay.
the other side of the wall is my record collection, and so it would be most likely vinyl for me. I don't know if it'd be vinyl, but I know it'd at least be physical. I know Benner would have the CDs on the island versus.
Hey, don't say it like that. Don't say it like
No,
that.
I mean it in a good way.
CDs
I
are
mean,
amazing.
The CDs. Like, it sounds like a disease.
Track to track.
No,
Oh my
no,
God,
I
it's so
mean it in a
fast.
good way.
It's
I mean,
easy.
like, whether it's
You get that cool six
You've
changer.
just
They
been
just
diagnosed
came.
with
Right.
the
You look-
CDs.
Get random.
I say it with love. Anything physical media is thebomb.com, and
Absolutely.
whether it's
We know it.
vinyl
Come
or
on.
CD or that, it's the best. So, but yeah, to kick it off, I would say we're gonna go
Wait,
1 for 1.
Chris,
I would say my all-time.
Sorry, I got to
Yeah.
interrupt you because you talk about physical media. So again, origin story, season 4. People maybe don't know the history. So, Two Dudes actually started in the 90s. Me and Neil were sitting in my brother's basement, and he had like 500 CDs sitting on his wall.
Yeah.
And we were up till dawn going through them all and coming up with the perfect mixtape.
Yeah.
And we had rules. You could only have the
Sure.
band on, one time each
Love
side. We had to agree on every single song, but I think we had one on each side that there was non-negotiable. So we had 2 songs that we loved that the other one couldn't,
Yeah.
veto, and which kind of goes back to the loopholes and everything. But when we were done, it was just called Two Dudes. And then about 6 months
Nice.
later, we went through the same exercise. It was called Two Dudes Part 2.
Yeah.
So hence now we have Two
Nice.
Dudes, and then we added Killer Tunes because that when you're the live point, like when you're there, that
fucking
song that just hits
most
you to the
killer
core.
tune.
Right? So anyway, let's fire it off. Let's
All
go.
right.
Get it going.
Got that over with. Your bands.
Yeah. My all-time band is Led Zeppelin. So that would be number
Right.
1 for me on the list.
Love it.
And we're going 1 for
Wow.
1, no
So I thought,
repeats.
CC, you already told me. You already. Yeah, you already told me your list. Gee, I'm surprised you did that.
I know.
I could just, but you know what? I'll be nice. I'll be nice because you set up this podcast and invited me on, so I won't pull
We
that.
said no doubles.
I'm wearing the shirt. I gotta go I don't know how the loopholes work. You guys tell me. It's your show, but I gotta go Nine Inch Nails. And whether or not that includes Trent Reznor's soundtrack work or not, I'll take it.
It
But
absolutely does.
I'll take Nine Inch Nails any day of the week.
Tell you
Just
what's a
from
new
a
loophole.
per just
Anything that
from like
ties
the
to a movie, sure.
Yeah.
And since we were shouting out
Okay,
stuff, I did
perfect.
want to
Yeah.
say, if you
I just
guys don't know of Nerf Herders in Hamilton, Ontario, it's a toy and
I know Nerf
collectible
Herder. Yeah.
shop.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I went there when I was there the last time. Oh, well, actually, right after I met with you, Chris. And the dude that
Yeah.
owns it, Marcel, that is one of the most amazing toy and collectible shops I've ever been in. It's about the size of our garage that we're recording in right now. But the shit that he has in it is
Yeah.
absolutely amazing and the coolest dude. So I wanted to wear it since you guys are on. So, all right, what do we got number two, Chris?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Number two, definitely slowing it down to more of a less of a rock band, but just like a personal icon of mine, Canadian Senator Leonard Cohen. I think he's just the best songwriter, and he has just such depth. And so, if I'm on a lonely island, I need to have not just like the high highs. I need to have a few low lows. So I
Absolutely.
would definitely
Love
throw
it.
Leonard Cohen on the list.
I saw you just posted on your story about Leonard
We
Cohen.
got to go with
And sorry, Benner, but
Yeah,
I
I'm a
will
huge
say
fan
Ben
of him.
Harper does an amazing cover of Hallelujah. I mean, a lot of people cover it. Ben Harper does a great job with it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's incredible that song. I think for the most part, a cover is a really hard thing to do. More so, and just like a remake, like the expectations are so high. I think Hallelujah is so interesting because it's not always like a traditional remake. I
Mhm.
always think of that song as like the artist's retelling, and like when you hear Jeff Beck do it, or you hear Katie Lang do it, or you hear Ben Harper do it, it's coming from a different place. It's not them redoing the song. It's such a versatile
Right.
song that it takes the shape of the artist doing it. It's really unique that way.
Totally. And Leonard
that album too.
Cohen
Was
on
when
the
that first came
Natural
out, G.
Born
I think
Killer
it was like
soundtrack. Absolutely amazing.
Wild. 10 out of 10.
yeah. I
I
think
love
when that record came out
soundtracks.
too, like when like like, the when Hallelujah came out on that record, like that record did nothing. Like the
Nothing.
label didn't push it. It was like considered a flop. And then historically, that track has been one of the most referenced. I mean, even in Watchmen, right? When they used it,
Right.
it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, so was Leonard Cohen Canadian? Because I don't know any of the backstory. I don't know shit about
Yeah.
anything with music. I just love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Leonard Cohen's from Montreal,
Okay.
Quebec, and which is a province in Canada.
I do know that. I
My
know enough
family
about
is
enough.
from yeah.
No, okay, no, I never knew that. Okay, so
My
he's from
uh,
Montreal.
my
McGill
my
University
family
is the
my
big
fam
university in Montreal.
yeah. And so my family on my dad's side was all from Montreal, and so now and from that area where Leonard Cohen grew up and stuff like that. Though he
Hence your
split his
name.
time between Greece, hence my name, very French Canadian name. So, but yeah, he's like a Canadian kind of Canadian singing icon, and
Oh, he's
I've got to see him
he's a
a
world
couple
icon,
times. Yeah,
global icon, right? But that's
yeah,
awesome you get to
absolutely,
claim him.
absolutely.
All right, Benner,
Yeah,
what's number two for you?
You know what? I'll keep it Canadian content for everyone, just to put it out there. Because I gotta think like if you're on a desert island, you gotta think a body of work.
yeah,
You gotta think of like the albums and the discography and like what the mood you're gonna be in. So you can't just pick five metal bands because you're gonna want something different
Hmm.
and also just the sheer amount of work. So I'm gonna go with Neil Young, I think.
cool.
I think just to have all those records. He's such a great storyteller. Canadian from well, various places, Toronto, Winnipeg, Momimi. And it's one of the coolest shows I ever saw recently was Neil Young. And yeah, I think he's just got just the like he's got some rock songs in there, lots of folk songs in there, country songs, everything in between. So I think
I've been the
it could be
biggest
a nice
Neil Young
pairing.
fan forever. And I mean, my original Forever Five had CSNY in it. Why did I pick them? Because you had so many of those
Okay.
Neil Young
Yeah, yeah.
songs that they sang, you know? But I've always loved Neil Young.
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen him live so many times.
Yeah,
I just saw him a couple
he's a
years
legend
ago
up here.
with Crazy Horse, and still up there killing it.
Yeah, I think I saw that. It was funny too when I saw them. I felt like Crazy Horse was like the weaker part of the set. Like I thought Neil was actually still on it, and I actually had a they did a show up here, um, uh, last summer. Yeah, last summer where he was playing on a farm. Him and Daryl Hannah were raising funds to kind of restore these buildings on this farm that's kind of close to where I am right now. It's probably about an hour. And my girlfriend, it's her top absolute top bucket list show to go see it would be Neil Young solo. So Neil Young, guitar, harmonica, that's
Yeah.
it. And I was like, I don't think that's ever going to happen because he's 80 or I think he's 79 now. And he's got a few miles on that body. So, but they did this very special kind of fundraising. The tickets were super expensive. But we just got kind of like near the back half, but it was only like 20, I think it was like 2,500 people or
Oh wow.
2,600 people in the middle of this farm in the woods with this makeshift stage. And it was just Neil Young, and it was Neil Young, acoustic guitar, harmonica, piano, and banjo. And that was it. And he played, he played, Tonight's the Night. No, he played, what's that song? After the Gold Rush. But he played it on the actual piano that he recorded it on the album.
Oh wow.
And it was at his house, so he just had it brought in. Like he lives really close to there now, so he brought it in like half an hour away,
That's
and he
great.
played it on the actual piano. And I swear to God, man, it's just I'm not crying, you're crying. Like it was a pretty magical moment. So I think recently as well, I've been diving into Neil Young's catalog and picking up CDs and albums when I can, and so he's got to be on the list. I think for this exercise at least.
For sure. The very first
Nice.
concert I ever spent $100 on a ticket was Neil Young. And it was me and Paul went, and it was at the Fox Theater in Detroit. It was exactly what you just described. Just him, acoustic guitar, harmonica, I'd go play piano, and it was just such a great show. And again, like that was probably 30 years ago, $100 a ticket, which was crazy at the time, but to me, it's the experience of it. And it's something that now, 30 some years
Yeah.
later, I'm still talking about or
Right.
remembering. Or, you hear that Neil Young song and it just hits you again and takes you back to that show. And that's the whole point of
Yeah.
That's the essence of two dudes.
absolutely.
Hmm.
All right, Chris, that's gonna be a tough one to follow,
Yeah.
bro.
I'm gonna play the card now. I'm gonna play it, and Benner knows what's coming. I'm gonna go with David Bowie. I think
Mm.
that not just as
You
as
guys
an
too much.
incredible human
Too much.
being, but just that catalog of work of the ups and the downs, and it really tells a story. So yeah, I would definitely pick David Bowie as my number three for sure.
One that definitely got away
Yeah, that's
from
a
me.
good
And
pick.
Benner, you
No
mentioned
repeats either.
earlier.
That was on my list.
I bet it was. I grew up on Nirvana, obviously. I graduated high school in 93, so I was right in the middle of all that in high school. And I never saw Nirvana. My freshman year of college, I actually rolled my ankle, and I was supposed to stay home from a road trip from Buffalo. I will tell this story till the day I
I love
fucking
it.
die.
Tell it.
Rolled my ankle, and they're like, you know what? We're going to Buffalo for 2 games. We're just gonna leave you home. Rest. These games aren't important. We're going to the conference tournament. Nirvana is playing the Michigan State Fairgrounds, which is no longer existing, but like was a great venue. It was like you said, Benner. You just show up. It's like a fucking field house. It's every every man for themselves at that point in like
Yeah,
'93.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, oh my God, the stars have aligned. I'm gonna finally see Nirvana. Day before we're leaving for the road trip, they're like, we're gonna take you, but we're not gonna play you. I'm like, mother. So I don't get to see him. Then I end up playing both goddamn games. And Tim Blackwell, of all people, the guy who doesn't even care about music whatsoever, God bless him, there's those types of people, right? They just, kind of passive with it. Nirvana ticket lands in his lap. He stays home from the road trip. He's also in the Hall of Fame at UD as a
Yeah.
soccer. And goes to the goddamn Nirvana show and probably still to this day doesn't really understand what he saw. Because like 6 months later, he was
Oh
gone. Like
man,
my
so
freshman year
jealous.
in college, in that April, that was like I woke up one day, right with Mong Tokes, and holy shit, he's gone, right? So the ones that got away, and definitely Bowie for me was like he was so awesome. And when you really go back and dig in, and all the and the only person I'd probably Neil compare, I don't compare them, but like that had that type of changes back. To me, Beck and Bowie, the way they kind of just reinvented themselves, did different things and shit like that and whatever.
Sure.
Bowie was awesome. All right, Benner. That's really a tough one to
I gotta
follow,
say,
especially since it sounds like he was
speaking
on
of,
your
so
list.
yeah, Bowie was on my like I went through a thing. I think I did start this with David Bowie. I'm pretty sure where I always feel like bands have and artists have like a run of albums, especially the greats. Like they have a run of albums where they can do no wrong, and if you listen to those records in a row, it's like bands don't necessarily do that anymore, or it's not as prevalent. But if you go and listen to Bowie, Zeppelin's the same thing, right? Right, Chris? Like it's like they were putting out a record a year, but the records were like, 8, 9, 10 songs, maybe eight songs. And so like, obviously Zeppelin has that run of six albums, those first six albums, which are just legendary. And the Beatles and the Stones and Iron Maiden and like there's a bunch of bands like that. But David Bowie is like one of those artists that like if you listen to all of his records in a row, you can really see the emergence of this really artistic genius and great songwriter and great artist. Prince is another one, same thing. They've got that in the middle of their or near the start. I think it's a start and in the middle of their discography. They have like a run of like 8, 9 albums that are all so awesome. And if you listen to them in a row, they're so when I was working from, I started doing that. I started looking at my CD collection. I'm on CDs because I'm a couple
Me
of years
too.
older than Chris here,
Love the CDs.
I don't have
and I
many
still have
left, but I
records,
do
but
I
I would
have
love
some.
find
no, I
CDs where
love
I'd
the
be like,
CDs.
man,
Go
I
ahead.
have the
Pearl
first
Jam's
three,
another one of those, like you said, like if you
and
listen
I'd
like
like, yeah, it was
albums in
like,
a row and listen to their growth and the changes, and people are like, oh, they're no good anymore. I'm like, no, you have to listen to it. Dig in a little deeper.
yeah,
Did you see Prince?
I looked at my collection, I'd be like, no, I never saw them. I never
I
saw
know.
them, and that's
Neither
a
did I.
regret of mine. I never saw Bowie either, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's I think I didn't really have an opportunity to go see the Nine Inch Nails David Bowie tour, but I know that we had thought about it and then we missed it. And we ended up going to see the Fragile tour when Nails came around again.
Okay.
But I know that like that tour with Nails and like I have a bootleg of one of the shows where it's like Bowie comes out and does Hurt with Trent and Nine Inch Nails comes out and does Scary Monsters with Bowie, and it's just so awesome, right? Because it's like because Reznor's a huge like Bowie was one of his idols, right? So
Right.
really cool stuff. Anyway, so I digress. Okay, if I'm picking a band, I'm trying to keep this like so. I think I gotta go Pearl Jam, and
Okay.
one because they're the band that like I mean, listen, Pumpkins is in contention, Cal. Like I'm not gonna lie, I love Pumpkins.
Oh no,
They've got a massive body
there's
of
no
work
wrong
too,
answers here.
but Pearl
Ever.
Jam for me. But Pearl Jam for me was like the first band that I really got into. My one of my childhood friends, which actually I still talk to on a regular basis. He bought me 10 on cassette. In This would have been 93, I think. Yeah, 93. And then I got $20. Like, so he bought it for me for my birthday. And he was like, man, he's like, I just feel like you'd love this album. So he bought me 10 on cassette. And then for my birthday, I got like $20 from my grandma or whatever. And I went to like the store, like a little later on, I think, I can't remember. I might be mixing up these dates, but basically Versus had just come out too.
Right.
So I took
That
20
was
bucks and I bought
93
Versus.
ish.
So it kind of had like 10 and Versus on cassette. Yeah, yeah. So I had them on cassette and I was kind of just going into high school and like I was listening to those tapes like nonstop. So and I think like I love Eddie Vedder. I love that band. So and they've got such a great body of work too. Lots of good rock and tunes, lots of slow kind of folky tunes too, or just they just got a good vibe. And if I'm on a desert island, I'm gonna be there for a while, I feel. And plus, like it's got a bit of a Neil Young connection, and so
Absolutely. No, I agree
yeah,
with
Pearl
that.
Jam.
And so
Yeah, I
if you were
again,
to
super
if you
hard
were to
band to
pick a
follow.
Pearl Jam CD, Benner, which one's your favorite?
I was actually just having this conversation like 2 days ago. And it's funny you said Versus because I think their best overall album I think is 10. I don't think
Hmm.
that, and that's not really a controversial call, but
No.
I think the more I, the older I get, I feel like I lean more into Versus now. I feel like, and there's always songs that have connected with me on Versus, like Elderly Woman. Rear View Mirror was WMA was like a huge, like I love those songs, Animal, Go, like, but I think like as I got older, I think Indifference is like an amazing song.
Okay. So
And
you mentioned
it's
Indifference,
just
Benner.
yeah, it just
That was, now that I think back, that show I referenced in '94, they finished with Indifference. They played Yellow Ledbetter, I believe,
I've heard
finished
that.
with
Yeah.
Indifference, and then just like walked off, and everyone just didn't even know what to do at that point. And then the lights came on, and it was like such a thing. But yeah,
And
for me, it was Versus.
Yeah,
But
like I
I
think
agree with you. Like 10 is flawless, right? To me, Versus just kind of took it to a little different.
it's pretty good.
Vitology was great, but like it just wasn't those two, right? But that was when they started evolving. And then they kept, I mean, the thing I like about them and even the Pumpkins, which people say whatever, they continue to put out new music. Whether you like it or not, they're still evolving. And in my mind, they were 20 something years old when you saw them, early 20s. They weren't even good yet. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when
Pumpkins
you
are
start
so
hitting your
good.
40s and actually your 50s, you're in your sweet spot. I mean, when I saw Aerosmith in '90, that's
If you want
what.
to know, if you want to know if you're, yeah, like if you want to know if you're a musical genius or not, or you're talented, like I feel like it's like, making it to the big leagues, making it to the NFL, making it to the show or whatever. Like if you go back and look at
Sure.
what those artists, like all the artists that we just named, what they were doing and when they did it in their life, it's crazy. Like, and like I always say to people, like you find out real quick if you're one of the best of all time. And I always use this reference. I mean, Kurt Cobain and Jim Morrison, Hendrix, like obviously,
Sure.
but like even guys like Tupac like wrote
Mhm.
all of his music, all of the stuff he ever did before he was 25. Like he died at 25. So
Right.
it's like when
Right.
I look back at stuff like that, like I figure out like when Pearl Jam wrote those songs, when Billy Corgan wrote those songs, and they were like 24, 25. Like it's
Right.
crazy, like to
And
write
then
those
Super
tracks
crazy. It's super
right
crazy.
out of the hop.
These
and
guys.
then you're
Like
thrust in front of the
there's a great
media and
song.
you're the front person, you're the spokesperson, and like you're 20 something years old. Imagine the shit that came out of our mouths when we were and it wasn't recorded, thank God. And like people are still held to
Well,
that 30 some years later. And I mean, I'm not a Billy Corgan apologist at all, believe me, because I couldn't care less. I don't know the man. What I do know, he shreds on the guitar. He's had some of the greatest lyrics ever, and I'm not a lyric person at all. And whether you love or hate his voice, I'm actually a huge fan of kind of like the unique voice because I'm not a lyric person. The voice to me is just like another instrument.
Yeah.
So when I hear that unique
yeah.
voice, Neil Young, I look, it's a unique voice. You when you hear it, you know it. So and
Mhm,
that's the
mhm.
one thing that with all of that that kind of bothers me because all these people that have been around for 30, 40 years, they're a little different now. And like we don't always judge them the way we should, but whatever. That's a whole different conversation. And they're fucking millionaires, so who really cares? Right. But anyway, so Chris, what do we got at number four?
yeah, it's funny. I'm swapping out someone on my list, and it
Oh,
was
do
funny
it.
because earlier in the show, it
Oh,
was it
Benner,
really
he's
came to
throwing you
me
a
earlier on in the
curveball.
show.
oh
My
yeah, this is
curveball,
crazy. I gotta look at the list here now.
and it's so funny because I think the band that was on the list was Limp Bizkit, who I got to see a couple years ago, who was just there for me when I was just getting into new metal and things like that. And Limp Bizkit was so rad. But as we were talking through the show and talking about like getting into music and kind of opening, that door into realizing like what music could be. is I got super, super into the Doors as a child, and I got to go to Jim Morrison's grave in France and stuff like that. And I thought that just, especially being on that desert island, like having not just the vocals and the words of Jim Morrison, but just that like very calming, soothing, or nightmarish type of tracks. So definitely going with the Doors for number 4.
Doors are amazing, and they actually
I got
re-emerged into my new Forever Five. Because I'll go through real quick. It was always
Yeah,
Pumpkins, Ben Harper, Wilco, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and Lou Reed.
the
It is
Doors.
now Lou Reed,
Oh, nice.
Smashing Pumpkins, Ben Harper, but I put in the Doors and the Beastie Boys. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young,
Nice.
and
Yeah.
Wilco are officially retired, so they can never be in my Forever Five again. I've made up that rule now. So that's where we're at with mine.
There's
The cool thing,
that's so
there's
weird.
a great skit. There's a great Kids in the Hall skit about being a
Oh, I
Doors
love the
fan.
Kids in the Hall.
And,
The best, one of the
Have you
best
seen that skit?
comedy
Have you
troops
See
ever.
the Doors
so
skit?
great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the Doors skit on Kids in the Hall?
I'd have to double check. I'm sure I
Yeah,
have.
it's incredible.
Because they used to be on like HBO or whatever. So I'd watch it
If
like
you
every
haven't-
week when it
We'll
would
send it
come
to you.
out. I'm
Yeah,
sure I've
we'll send
seen
it
it,
to you
but I'll have to
after.
recheck.
It's really about like a skit about being like a true Doors fan. We'll send it to you after the show. It's
Please do.
and just like
Are
it
we
really
gonna laugh?
thumbs up in a
Definitely.
way.
Oh yeah, you'll love it.
You'll love it.
You'll
You'll
love
love
it. There was a, you know what's funny?
Well,
There's a funny time
news
for all this
radio,
stuff, guys.
right?
Like,
Was it not Scott Thompson? It was
Yeah,
Dave or whatever
yeah,
on news radio.
Dave
That
Foley.
show was amazing.
Oh, news radio is great.
Yeah,
Sure was.
Joe Rogan and Andy Dick, and I
Yeah.
mean Phil Hartman. It was so, what was it?
was
Foley,
a
Dave
show.
Foley, right?
And Dave Foley, yeah,
Yeah,
and
Dave.
Dave Foley and Phil Hartman are both Canadian, so
Yeah.
it was like we really claimed half of news radio, as Canadians. But an incredible show. I've always
That was and David Spade, right? He was on news radio, wasn't he too? Like
no, it was Andy Dick.
And,
yeah.
it was Andy
Oh no, it
Dick.
was Andy Dick. Yeah, yeah.
and no,
It was a total mess, but still, that show is absolutely amazing. Yeah, and you know what? We mentioned Phil Hartman. Absolutely,
Yeah,
that guy
absolutely.
was a treasure.
Legend. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Benner, you're number 4.
Yeah. What's up?
yeah, my number 4. Like number 4 is tough because I want to go. I need a ripping metal band. I've been seeing the word ripping a lot lately. I don't know why.
all right.
Everything
All right.
rips now. So but I need a like a diehard, like I just need a ride or die like awesome metal band in there, I think, because I think you're going to be angry on a desert island. Like you got to go hunting and stuff. You're going to stub your toe. You're going to get frustrated building shelter. Like you
Love it.
need something to like just keep you like really raring to go. So I think I got to go. Like I don't know what I'm doing for my number 5 because I had Bowie in this list. So and now I got to pivot. But like I think I'm gonna go Lamb of God. And I
Okay.
love Lamb of God.
All right,
I think
all
they got 10 albums now. I think the new record is actually pretty great. And I think that I always come back to a few songs by those guys. Now You Have Something to Die For, Grace, Laid to Rest, Hourglass. Like I always come back to those songs and I listen to them when I need to get like real amped up. So and I think they're nice. They're I was running this list by my girlfriend and she was like, yeah, but she's like, you got like a bunch of like heavy shit in the Nine Inch Nails category. I was like, yeah, I know, but I need a companion piece. So I'm
Well,
going
that's
with
different.
Lamb of God from from Virginia, USA.
So Banner, I got a proposition for you.
My,
You'd have to look
my
into
fifth
it,
and
but Lamb
final.
of God is playing the Fox Theater in Detroit at some point coming up. And I love going to shows with former guests, so I'm going to look into that and I'll be in touch with you.
Oh, really?
Yep. And the Fox Theater is a great venue, and it just kills me
Okay,
that
let
Lamb
us
of
know.
God
Let's see
is
if we can
playing
swing it.
there, like because it's like these super fancy seats and everything else, So I can only imagine what that's going to look like in there. Love it. All right,
They
Chris,
just played
number
Toronto, but they
5.
played like the casino in Toronto, and I'm
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah,
so
my number
I'm
5.
actually you mentioned
Sorry, go
casino in Windsor. Lord Huron's coming up soon. in Windsor. Well, soon in July, which is a kind of a local Detroitish band, but playing Windsor Caesars. So probably gonna head over the border for that one. It'll be my next Canadian show, I think. All right,
Nice.
Chris,
Yeah,
number
great band as
five.
well. Number five, it's similar, I think, similar vein to Leonard Cohen. I really think of a lot of these, art as artists, and an artist I really got into when I was young, and continue to get into him, though he's passed away, is Daniel Johnston from Austin, Texas, with the Hi How Are You project. I think his story and his music, and him doing his own recordings in his basement while struggling with mental health. It was crazy. Years ago, I was making a movie, and I ended up watching this documentary about him, which really, touched me as an artist, and as a music lover. And it was crazy that at the end of the movie, they had this website where it's like, order CDs or whatever at the end of the thing. And I remember sitting in my apartment. I was going through a real life change, and I remember being like, oh man, I wonder what's like on this like website, And so I logged on, and it was like some of his drawings and some of his work. And he was, a real, artist and stuff like that. Very crude drawings, you know what I mean? Like really just like pen and pencil, and would draw a lot of like superheroes and stuff. And so I was on the website, and they were selling some of his like, smaller doodles, you know what I mean, for like $90, $100. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like this sounds rad. And so ordered this Captain America drawing that he did for like $100. And 5 days later, he passed away. And
Oh
it was
wow.
just insane that I was able to, all the artwork skyrocketed, the week he passed away. And he's got these three different pieces of Captain America, the Hulk, and Captain America, the Hulk, and someone else from like the Avengers lineup. I can't remember now. And it was crazy because the week he passed away, Mark Ruffalo was on like one of the Jimmy Kimmel shows, and he was showing that he's got the Hulk one. And I was like, this is so insane. Mark Ruffalo's got the Hulk one, and I've got the Captain America one
That's
from that
crazy.
series. And I bought it for $90 the week he
Right.
passed. And now it's
4 days or whatever.
by
Yeah.
like an art expert. We have it framed in a glass here in our room. But it was just this random Friday night where I was just like, I wonder what's on this website of the 25-year-old DVD to see if it's still activated, And so it was so serendipitous that I always have to include it on my list,
That
And
is amazing.
Chris, you ever
love
reach out to Chris Evans and see if he'll buy it from you?
yeah, exactly. I got to reach out to Chris Evans
Yeah.
to see if
Come on,
You might
Chris
be able to get
Evans.
90,000 for that.
But it was crazy. They have
90,000?
a song
I'm thinking a
called,
million.
he has a
I'm
song
thinking
called
a
True Love
million.
Will Find You.
Million American.
Yeah, exactly. He's got this song called True Love Will Find You in the End, which my wife and I walked down the aisle to. But oddly enough, we picked a cover song to walk down the aisle to. So it's True Love Will Find You in the End by Wilco. Was actually what we walked down the aisle to.
So
But that's an original Daniel Johnson track. Yeah.
absolutely love Wilco. That was one of the bands I
Yeah.
found literally on the ground floor because I was an Uncle Tupelo fan before Wilco. And then they
Yeah.
split, and you had Wilco and Sunvolt. And I mean, me and Neil have seen Wilco literally from day one, like 500 to 1,000 people. And I haven't seen them in ages. And they're finally coming just outside Detroit this June 13th,
Yeah.
which is an amazing day. Keith's birthday. So hopefully we'll get to go with him on that.
Amazing.
That's
Yeah.
a really cool story. I love hearing about that. And I've never heard of him.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to put it on the playlist. All right, Benner,
Yeah, for
number
sure.
5 coming in strong.
So number 5, it's a little difficult. So I had some bands.
Don't
here
you
in
wish
the
it was
pocket.
10?
Yeah, totally.
No, that's 5, and then you can.
If it was 10, I'd probably just stay on that fucking desert island, you know. But yeah, I mean, Radiohead was in there, but I think like Radiohead's too, like it's like it'll just give me like it's like too anxiety driven, you know what I mean? It's like too
Fair.
isolationist. Even though I love that band.
Neil, I'm sorry, but I
like
love
Prodigy was
the
in there,
thought that
maybe.
Benner's put into this about everything about it. Like you've thought about all that stuff. This is great.
And
Like Prodigy was up there. Rage Against the Machine
And
is
buddy,
off, but just
you want Prodigy because you're on a desert island and you need to start a fire, buddy. You need fire
you
starter
need
to
fire
Fire
starter.
get
starter.
going.
So, but I think
He's using
if
Lamb
I'm
of God
honest,
for that
like
one.
if I'm honest, and the other thing too is like in my top, I haven't picked anything from my top five favorite albums of all time. So no particular order, my top five favorite albums I think that are the best albums ever released, personally, I think are In Utero by Nirvana, um, uh, Pink Floyd's The Wall, Led Zeppelin 4. I can't remember my fifth one. Siamese Dream is up there, Cal.
Yep.
But I think I gotta be honest with myself and just go with Tool. And I Enema's
Oh.
Enema's in my top five albums of all time. I love or Enema or whatever it's called. I don't know. But
Yeah, I
like
don't know. I never know how to say
I
it, so I
love
just
that.
don't.
Maynard
Tool that
said it
one
in an
album, and then
interview, but
someone
it's like
else says it.
yeah, Maynard said that it was called this. It's not Enema, but like I've just been calling it Enema for like 30 years, so it's like it's
Exactly.
Enema to me. So, but I love that album. I think the new album, I think Fear Inoculum or their last album is not is a bit underrated. I think it's
I
really, really,
agree.
really good the more you listen to it. And I think
Totally agree.
Tempest as a song, like a 17-minute Tool song, is like maybe worth the 13-year wait. And apparently they're coming out with a new record hopefully next year. So I'm banking on that
And
new
a
record
Vegas
being good to
residency.
expand.
So if there's something
Yeah.
you're
And it,
interested in there, now
Atmosphere.
that I know they're in your Forever Five, because for me, the
I don't
first
know if
time
I
I
was
ever
like,
saw Tool
yeah.
was the Traveling Lollapalooza '93 second stage. And when they
Yeah, that was
started
on the Undertow
playing, I
tour, right?
was literally
Yeah.
one of about 50 people right in front of Maynard. That was back when he basically wore like long boxer briefs with just everything hanging out, nothing else.
Mm.
He had that kind of mohawk thing with the mullet. And I
Yeah.
think it was Arrested Development was playing on the main stage. And as soon as Tool started, the 50 people turned to like thousands on the second stage. And I want to say later on in that Lollapalooza, they ended up on the main stage before. But
Yeah.
I mean, that was amazing. It was
They're a great.
Tool, you had Alice in Chains, Primus, Dinosaur Jr. It was one of the most
So it's
underrated
so stupid.
Lollapaloozas, but for us, it was in such a
Crazy.
shitty venue that it sucked. I mean, it didn't suck, but it was a rough experience. I'll just say that. But
Yeah.
Tool is
Yeah, I
amazing.
love
Maynard's a whole different breed, and he's actually a Michigan boy. I don't know if anyone knew that, but of course everyone knew that.
right. He grew up I think
Right.
yeah, and he grew up in he was born in Michigan, grew up in Ohio,
I
I
think so,
think.
yeah.
Something like that.
And then
Yeah,
you
yeah,
got
yeah.
Danny
Yeah.
Carey on
I just
drums, which is like just, like
I just
top
feel like there's
notch.
some riffs. Like I just feel like I'll be sitting around one day on a desert island being like, I'm like, I should have picked Tool because I really want to listen to like
Right?
46 and 2 and
Just to
Sober
hear that
and Tempest.
bass
And
intro,
I'm
right?
like, you're such an
Every
idiot. Like,
song.
why did you pick
Yeah.
like why
Dang,
did you
dude.
pick Radiohead? You're all
I'm
stressed out
actually
now.
picking
So I
radio, and I'm miserable sitting listening to this right now. Right?
yeah.
That's
It's
hilarious.
like I don't have any of these problems anymore. I'm on a desert island. I just need to hear something awesome. So, but yeah, shout out to Radiohead. And like Rage was hard for me too because I think uh, like I love Rage Against the Machine, and like I saw them live in Toronto, and it was one of the greatest, like one of the best concert experiences I've ever had. Like it was absolutely amazing. But it's just the body of work is like they got those three albums
Right.
and a covers record. And those three
Yeah.
albums are legendary. They're amazing. But I think I think it's the shortness, it's the brevity of that catalog that I think that
I
keeps them out of
agree.
that fifth spot.
And that's when I look back at this, right? And I'll say that, like with a Pearl Jam, even the Pumpkins, whether you like the new stuff or not, you're on a goddamn deserted island.
Yeah.
Let's want to at least maybe experience some newer stuff, and you got like 15 albums versus three, but that's
Yeah.
the beauty of it is everyone's got their own thing and you can pick that one where it's just like, I don't care if it's one album, two albums, whatever, but I got
Right.
these other four where it fills in those gaps. So no, that was awesome. I can't
Awesome.
wait to come out with this playlist. That's one of my most exciting things about doing these shows is getting all the songs and bands that we talk about. Um, One, I can't thank you guys enough for joining us, especially to launch season
Yeah, thanks for
four.
having us.
Hell yeah.
This is a huge thing for us. Year three anniversary, season four, episode one. You guys have been awesome. I can't wait to
Thanks.
actually meet you in person, Benner. Chris, I'm sure we'll cross paths here in the near future again.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we'll get to go to a show. And actually, you know what?
Yeah.
Me and Neil are heading to Strumbellas tonight at St. Andrews Hall in Detroit, right? One of your
Oh,
guys.
crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, you guys
What do
should
you-
come down.
Hey,
You guys
great
should come
thing.
down. Yeah, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're
it's not
just-
that far of a drive for
not
you.
too
We got
far.
plenty of
Yeah,
time.
we're en route.
Where are you guys going? We're going to Detroit.
And actually, you know what? I fucking love the en routes when you get up,
Yeah.
oh my God. And I'm not a fast food guy. I try not to eat it, but if you're on the en route, you pick up whatever. Jesus Christ, the Canadian fast food versus American fast food, two totally different ball games and so much better.
Okay,
100%.
so I will. Okay, so
I
here's the
love
thing.
that you embrace
We-
the A&W because that is one of the most underrated fast food joints in America. And I don't think people give it enough credit over here. But what I've noticed
Absolutely.
is Canadians
A&W.
fucking love their A&W.
I'll tell you two things. One, it's so funny because up here, because the only thing we have is en routes. Like we hate them. Well, I hate them but I gotta tell you,
Well,
like,
yeah, you
in the
can't just
States-
go to a gas station like off the freeway, oh yeah, we have a
Okay,
gas
but-
station you get off. You gotta go like 7 kilometers to get to that bitch, and then sometimes they pump it for you, like New Jersey.
So, but I will say this: in the States, I love. I was just exposed to this like last year, but Sheets. I love Sheets.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah,
Sheets
Sheets
is the
good.
best.
We don't.
Absolutely.
And
Well,
it's-
I don't.
We don't have them around here.
I think we might
No,
have
this-
one or two.
It's
It's like
funny you
better.
say
It's,
that
yeah, I
better
think they started in
because
Pennsylvania. Yeah,
I
driving
grew
down
up,
south, they started in
Wawa's
Pennsylvania.
in Pennsylvania, Sheets is in Pennsylvania. I used to travel out for work, so I've known those places for years. But I grew up in Livonia, Michigan, which is a suburb of Detroit, and they're actually trying to open up a Sheets right now. And it is like the biggest like debacle in like the local government. Like all the old people like, oh my God, it's just a gas station. And it's so funny. Like listen to them. Like, no, it's an amazing place, and yes, you can get gas at it.
So, Chris, it's like an en route, but they have this a full restaurant that you can just get stuff to go, like breakfast sandwiches, pizza, like burgers, like
Cool.
and meatball subs and everything, and they just make everything or you can customize anything you want, and then they've got
Yeah.
like every chocolate bar known to man, and like it's an awesome place. But yeah,
Wait till you experience at Bucky's over here. Those places are absolutely
Fuck
insane.
Bucky's. I'm gonna go real quick with my, as we
Wind
down here a little bit. I'm just doing my top five.
Absolutely.
Forever Five. Quick,
Yeah.
Tom Petty. Come on.
Patty.
okay.
K in the
Amazing.
HB.
Do you guys not like Tom Petty? I could listen to
course.
Tom Petty's song.
Huge fan, and I saw him at Darien Lake in huge fan. And don't tell Chad this, but I skipped a pickup day for one of our movies, Antisocial 2, because I had Tom Petty tickets
You
and
Nice.
fled to Darien Lake to see Tom Petty. And I describe it more as a religious experience than like a concert.
I mean,
it was
I-
great.
He was
I-
one that got
Tom
away
Petty all
from
the
me,
time.
Neil. I've always told you. I'm so upset. I never saw Tom Petty.
He's too much.
It's one of
I've
those
seen him
great
live.
ones.
He's too much. And then I go REM, Wilco, Tragically Hip, and then Morrissey, Smiths.
tragically hip, eh?
Yeah.
Tragically
Nice.
Oh, the hip's
Rad.
amazing.
Wow.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
actually,
forever.
me and Neil saw the hip twice
The hipper.
together live. One at Pine Knob, which is our outdoor amphitheater.
Yeah.
And then we used to go like camp after the show. It was like 10 miles down the road. Well, whenever we would do that, we did that for the hip, and then we did it for the Horde Fest, where Bare Naked Ladies were like the headliner. And we go back to the
Cool.
campground. Of course, all the Canadians are there, just fucking loving life.
Oh, I love it.
We're in the parking lot at the venue. They're lighting off fireworks, and you know what? It was amazing. Everyone's running around with the flags, but we saw the hip at the Fillmore Detroit, I believe it was, which is only about 2,000 people or so. That was
Right.
truly an amazing experience. And there were so many people that came over the border because it's right in Detroit. And that, I mean, it was shortly before, Gord was done, right? And I mean, I know
Yeah.
he was like an icon, like national thing. And I did watch like his very last show when they broadcast it on CBC or whatever, because we
Yeah.
could get it
From
here.
Kingston. Yeah. Kingston.
And you know what? I always say Gord Downey, Lou Reed, and I always say someone else, but they always made their own songs. Oh, Perry Farrell. They always made their
Sure.
own songs their own, right?
Yeah.
Even their recorded ones, and when they sang it, never sounded the same. Gord Downey would be
Yeah.
so weird, and same with Lou Reed, but it would just worked, and it was just
Yeah.
you were there. It
Mhm.
was awesome, and to me, that was for a lot of us here in Detroit. That was such a sad day when he was gone.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because a lot of
And
us
it's
over here
crazy because
really love Tragically Hip, and I don't think they ever really got the um, exposure and everything that they really deserved. And the one thing that I
yeah,
always loved was when they did that Saturday Night Live. It was like their first
yeah,
one, and Dan Aykroyd was like,
yeah,
"If I'm doing this as a guest host, they're playing,"
yeah.
Yeah.
and they fucked up the lyrics. Remember
Yeah.
at the
Yeah, it's
very
because he
beginning
smoked
of
a
it?
Yeah.
joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, he smoked a joint before going out on stage and said, "I'm practically hip."
No, I'm tragically
Yeah.
hip.
Yes, I'm
The
tragically
first
I'm
hip
lyric,
tragically
because
the
he
hip.
was
first
I'm
lyric
stuck
is like
tragically
I'm
hip.
his
fabulously
mind or
rich.
whatever.
Yeah.
And to me, that is
And you can
that
see
is
his
the
face
lyric I
like, "Oh
know.
shit!"
Like
Like I
Yeah.
fucked it up.
I know, and like I say to Neil, like I'm
Yeah,
totally not a lyric guy, but to me, when I hear that song, that's what I hear in my head, even though it's not the right one.
His
yeah, I know.
what his voice or not voice, and then he goes
Yeah,
he went like this.
so good,
He's like, oh,
so
I
good.
just fucked up
Yeah,
the
you can
lyric.
see it's like, oh. Yeah,
All right, well,
And they
I
never they
hate to
never played
wind it
it that
down,
they always
guys.
they
We've been going forever. It's been an absolutely
yeah,
amazing time.
Too
One,
much.
Chris, I can't wait to see you again. Benner, I can't wait to see you in person. That's going to happen soon, whether we
absolutely.
like it or not. And then, hopefully we'll get to go to a show again, or not again, but sometime here soon
Yeah,
in the future.
absolutely.
All right,
Yeah, it'd be
brothers.
rad
let's
for
do
sure.
it, man.
Thanks so much for having us. It's great. What a great fun way to kick off your guys' season 4, and we're thrilled to kind of chat music and chat
Oh
concerts
my
as
gosh.
well. It's
Absolutely.
a
Thank
big
you
part
so
of our
much.
lives, so we love it. Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
oh,
No, you guys are great. Thanks again.
thank you guys.
All right.
Awesome,
Awesome.
guys. Take care.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.